Good afternoon everybody and welcome to the stream. I'm Robert from the El Magnifico Games channel, and today we are going to continue with our usual Wednesday poetry and riddles. Now last week the last poem that we read was Blow Blow the Winter Wind by William Shakespeare, and indeed we were in the middle of a section which the anthologists described as ballads. Although, as I think I remarked several times last week, they don't seem to have the same structure that I thought ballads were supposed to, which is interesting. Anyway, we'll begin as we usually do by rereading the last poem we read last week, and then we will move on to some new poems. Let's get into it. Oh, hello, Tada for real. It's lovely to see you. Right, so... Blow blow the winter wind. Blow blow thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hey ho, sing hey ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey ho the holly, this life is most jolly. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, that dost not bite so nigh as benefits forgot. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp as friend remembered not. Hey ho, sing hey ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey ho the holly, this life is most jolly. As I think I remarked last week, I was having some difficulty reading greater meaning into this poem, particularly the presence of what seemed to me to be fairly nonsense sayings like, or expressions like hey ho, doesn't help. I can't tell if that's supposed to have some significance that I don't have the historical context to follow or not. Anyway, we move on to It Was a Lover and His Lass. And as always, if you have anything you'd like to discuss further, or any comments or anything like that, please leave them in chat and I will read them as soon as I can. So, It Was a Lover and His Lass, also by William Shakespeare. This is all the ballads by William Shakespeare that we're currently making our way through. It was a lover and his lass, with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, that o'er the green cornfield did pass, in the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when birds do sing, hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Between the acres of the rye, with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, these pretty country folks would lie, in the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when birds do sing, hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. This carol they began that hour, with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, how that life was but a flower, in the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when birds do sing, hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. And therefore, take the present time, with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, for love is crowned with the prime, in the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when birds do sing, hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Yes, I'm detecting a theme here. Other than its very surface level meaning, I am again having difficulty penetrating further. I will note, however, that as far as the structure is concerned, it doesn't have the structure I, again, understood ballads were supposed to have, but we are seeing this idea where a poet will establish their own structure in the first stanza, and then they will repeat it again and again and again. which is interesting. We've seen quite a lot of that. Rather than using a formal structure that is already known and well accepted, they will, through repetition, establish their own. It's interesting. And there's some rhyming here. An odd rhyming structure, actually, unless I'm very much mistaken. It's A, B, A, C, D, C. So the first and the third lines rhyme, as do the fourth and the sixth. Sorry, the fifth and the sixth. I can't really comment any further, other than to acknowledge that seems to be what's going on. Anywho, I get the feeling we'll be moving through some of these poems quite quickly, because, as I say, there's... it may be that I lack certain historical context that would benefit the analysis, but I just don't feel like there's much I can comment on it, so we'll just press on. Take, oh take those lips away. Take, oh take those lips away, that so sweetly were forsworn, and whose eyes the break of day, lights at doom's lead the morn. But my kisses bring again, seals of love, but sealed in vain, sealed in vain. Now this one's more interesting for a few reasons. Firstly, it doesn't have the repetition of a specific structure to establish it. It just stands on its own. I think we've got... I think it's 7 syllables per line, which looks to me like it's probably trochaic tetrameter with the final syllable docked. Could be wrong. I think it must be, because with lines like, and those eyes, the break of day... I mean, how else would you pronounce that if... how else would you enunciate that without the beats falling on the first syllable and then every second syllable after that? But my kisses bring again. Bring again. So then we have 7 and then 3. Seals of love, but sealed in vain. Sealed in vain. And then 7 and 3 again. So yeah, I don't know of any poetic form that follows that structure, but that's what he's used. Away and day rhyme, forsworn and morn rhyme, so A, B, A, B, but then we have rhyming couplets after that. It's interesting, much more free form than, well, I would have expected from such an early period. It's funny, because quite a lot of the earlier poems we read had, I don't want to call it a rigid structure, but they were more uniform in their structure. And I'm fairly certain that the later poetry is also going to end up more formulaic from the Romantic period onwards. I could be wrong, but that was my understanding. On the other hand, of course, the anthologist got to choose exactly which poems he included and which ones he didn't. Perhaps it's because William Shakespeare was himself so prodigious that even his poetry, which didn't necessarily conform to the expectation when this anthology was created, it was still included anyway. I guess we won't know. Or certainly, it's unlikely we'll come to any decision today. Forsworn, that's to refuse something, isn't it? Let me double check. Having lied under oath, perjured. Oh, so having broken an oath, I believe. But I don't think that's how it's being used there. Or if it is, then that's a very interesting usage. Yes, to cause to violate an oath or vow. I'll quickly double check against my physical dictionary. Forsooth, fought, where's forswear? Huh, no forsworn. But to forswear is, oh, I suppose that makes sense, because forsworn would be the past tense, wouldn't it? Abjure, renounce an oath. Swear falsely, perjure oneself. Interesting. Okay. So, take those lips away that so sweetly were forsworn. So the lips are false. So I wonder if that's a reference to being romantically false, perhaps being mercenary in one's love interests, and therefore any kiss is not representing real affection. Or could it be a reference to adultery? And those eyes, the break of day, lights that do mislead the morn. But my kisses bring again, seals of love, but sealed in vain, sealed in vain. Yes, the more I look at this, the more it does seem like this poem's bemoaning something that's rather amiss. I wonder if it's trying to reflect a relationship whereby one party is using the other, and the party being used cannot help but to keep forgiving them. Hence the reference to their kisses bringing again, and the sealed in vain. If you have any strong opinions on that, anybody in chat, please leave a message. Otherwise, we'll keep moving on. Obeyed. I have no idea what that means. Music, poetry, a poem or song evoking or greeting the dawn or early morning. Interesting. Oh, bard. Okay. In music specifically, a morning love song or a song of lovers parting in the morning. Interesting. So, O bard. Hark, hark, the lark at heaven's gate sings, and Phobos gins arise, his steeds to water at those springs, on chaliced flowers that lies, and winking Mary buds begin to ope their golden eyes, with everything that pretty bin, my lady sweet, arise, arise, arise. Oh, that was it. Again, quite freeform. So, what's that gins gonna be? That's probably a shortening of begins. And Phobos begins arise. So, yes, that would be a reference to the sunrise, of course. Phobos being... wasn't he the Greek god that used to chariot the sun across the sky? The sun being Sol? I believe that's correct. His steeds to water at those springs, on chaliced flowers that lies. Chaliced. How does one chalice? I know what a chalice is as in the type of cup. But what does it mean to chalice something? Oh, chalice means cup shaped. Okay, that makes sense. On chaliced flowers that lies, and winking Mary buds begin. I don't know what a Mary bud is, but I assume it's just a species of flower. To ope their golden eyes. That's quite a beautiful reference. The opening of a flower in the morning being referred to opening golden eyes. With everything that pretty bin. What do I mean by that pretty bin? My lady sweet, arise, arise, arise. Obviously a storage container for rubbish. A jail or prison, that's unlikely. Nope, no help there. With everything that pretty bin. There's no apostrophe, so it's probably not a contraction. I'll check my physical dictionary quickly. If I can't find any help there, then we'll just have to move on. Bin, receptacle, originally of wicker, now usually fixed of wood for corn, coal, dust, bottled wine, etc. Wine from a special bin. Canvas receptacle used in hop picking. That makes sense. Or... nope, that's it. Ah. A physical dictionary was written in the very early 1950s. It's interesting because nowadays I think if you said bin, one would automatically assume you were referring to a receptacle for rubbish, unless you knew from context they likely meant something else. But that's not even listed there, with everything that pretty bin. No, I still can't pass it really. Anyway, so for rhyming we've got sings and springs, arise, lies, begin, bin, eyes, arise, what eyes? Yeah, eyes and arise again. So that's A, B, C, D. No, A, B, C, B, C, B, B. Which is a fairly regular rhyming structure. The meter looks vaguely iambic. Yeah, it's iambic, but the number of feet per a line doesn't seem to follow any given pattern. As for the meaning, it seems fairly simply just a celebration of the morning coupled with a reference to, you would assume, the speaker's lover, though I suppose strictly speaking my lady doesn't prove that. It could be a servant mistress relationship. Certainly sets a pretty picture, but I don't see much deeper meaning there. I wonder, is deeper meaning just going over the top of my head? Or is that really all there is to it? Because of course William Shakespeare is incredibly well celebrated. And again, does it follow that you need to have deeper meaning for your work to be of a standard worth celebration? I suppose not. Well, let's keep going. Fidele, I assume. Could be Fidel. No idea what it means. Could be a proper noun. Let's try Latin, since there appears to be no English word by that name. Faithful, loyal, true, trustworthy, dependable. Yep, that certainly seems to evoke the sentiments of the time, so that is probably what it means. Right, let's get into it. Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. Though thou worldly task hath done, home art gone, and ta'en thy wages. Golden lads and girls all must, as chimney sweepers, come to dust. Fear no more the frown o' the grey, thou art past the tyrant's stroke. Care no more to cloth and eat, to thee the reed is as the oak. The sceptre, learning, physic must all follow this and come to dust. Fear no more the lightning flash, nor the all-dreaded thunderstone. Fear not slander, Cynthia's rash. Thou hast finished joy and moan. or lovers young, or lovers must, consign to thee, and come to dust. No exorciser harm thee, nor no witchcraft charm thee, ghost unlaid forbear thee, nothing ill come near thee, quiet consummation have, and renowned be thy grave. That's interesting. I swear we have read a very similar poem in the past. Yes, I think the poem by William Ernest Henley, In Memoriam Margarete Sorori, from the 100 Best English Poems, bears some resemblance, not necessarily in structure but in content. I think in particular the line, "My wages taken," called me back to that poem when I read "And taken thy wages." Is it possible we read that one before, though, when we were going through William Shakespeare's, a selection of William Shakespeare's poems from the previous anthology? Oh, the previous poem, no, the poem before that, "Take those lips away," we had already read in the previous anthology. Clearly I'd already forgotten it. How shameful. And we had indeed read the poem that we have just reread, Fidele, which I'm probably mispronouncing. But that was listed as Song from Cymbeline in the 100 Best English Poems. I thought it seemed familiar. Anyway, what is there to say? Rhyming scheme A B A B C C, I think. Yep. What about meter? Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. Though thou worldly task hast done, home art gone, and taken thy wages. Golden lads and girls all must, as chimney sweepers, come to dust. Is that iambic tetrameter with the occasional feminine ending? I think so. Fear no more the frown o' the great. Thou art past the tyrant's stroke. Care no more to cloth and eat. I suppose that should be clothe. Care no more to clothe and eat. Which is 7 syllables? Care no more to clothe and eat. Yep. To thee the reed is as the oak. 8. Moving on a bit. Fear no more the lightning flash. Nor the all-dreaded thunderstone. Am I going mad? It seems like it's quite freely alternating between 7, 8 and 9 syllables per line. Fear no more the heat o' the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. How do I do annotations? I always forget. That's how. Is that working? Nope, not as intended. There we go. So fear no more the heat o' the sun. That's quite clearly 8. Nor the furious. Oh, that would only be 2, wouldn't it? I'm miscounting. Because eos being a diphthong would be considered 1 syllable. Furious winter's rages. I don't see how rages could be anything other than 2 though. That gives us 8 again. Though thy worldly task hast done. 7. Though thy worldly task hast done, home art gone, and ta'en thy wages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Golden lads and girls all must. 7. Was the first one supposed to be 7? Fear no more the heat o' the sun. I don't see how it could be. As chimney sweepers come to dust. Which is 8. I think the 9 I previously read was when I was reading furious as 3 syllables, not 2. But it does seem to have a few 7-syllable lines for no reason. Fear no more the heat o' the sun. Wait, how does that pass? Fear is surely stressed. no more. No more the heat o' the sun. So that's almost like it's trochaic, but then they've done an iambic substitution in the final foot, which is a structure I've not encountered before. Nor the furious winter's rages, though thy worldly task hast done. I think it's trochaic. Golden lads and girls all must. It is, isn't it? It's broadly speaking trochaic. Fear no more the frown o' the great. So this time marking down, maybe, can I change colour? Perhaps I'm asking too much. Oh, maybe. So this time marking down beats as opposed to syllables. Fear no more the frown o' the great. So this would be a 8-syllable line. And we have again what looks like trochees followed by a terminating iamb, which is interesting. Oh well. So it looks like it's mostly written in trochaic tetrameter, although they're occasionally docking the final syllable or substituting with an iamb. But I think we've done that analysis to death. As for the meaning, it's clearly, the speaker is clearly trying to summarize the state at the end of one's life. It's almost a retrospective. It's interesting in a way, because clearly one who has reached that point couldn't possibly be writing about it. So it's almost a poem about a point which we all will one day reach, but which no one can give a first-hand account of. I'd certainly say it's comforting overall. Perhaps a bit, one could argue a bit dark in places, but I think overall it's meant to put one at ease. And with the title being the Latin word for faithful or loyal, that's interesting. Because I don't think most of the poem actually dealt with loyalty. So I wonder if that's supposed to be interpreted as loyalty to the people in one's life, or whether that's loyalty to God. Anyway, I think I'll give it one more reading and then we'll move on to the next one. Fear no more the heat o' the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. Though thy worldly task hath done, home art gone, and ta'en thy wages. Golden lads and girls all must, as chimney sweepers, come to dust. Fear no more the frown o' the great, thou art past the tyrant's stroke, care no more to clothe and eat. To thee the reed is as the oak. The sceptre, learning, physic must all follow this and come to dust. Fear no more the lightning flash, nor the all-dreaded thunderstone. Fear not slander, censure rash. Thou hast finished joy and moan. All lovers young, all lovers must consign to thee and come to dust. No exorciser harm thee, nor no witchcraft charm thee. Ghost unlaid forbear thee, nothing ill come near thee. Quiet consummation have, and renowned be thy grave. Interesting that that would be what it finishes on, and renowned be thy grave. One, why would people care whether their grave was renowned? And two, why is the speaker so confident that your grave is indeed to be renowned? The only reason I can think, and it's a bit of a stretch, is if it links back to the title. If the idea is if one is a loyal Christian and lives a good life, then of course people will remember you after you've passed on. And perhaps that the ease that it's trying to project is only supposed to be for those that live a good Christian life. But again, it's a bit of a stretch. Just trying to think of a way to put the final sentence in context. Final sentence, final line. Anywho, let's keep going. Bridal song. Roses, their sharp spines being gone, not royal in their smells alone, but in their hue. Maiden pinks, of odour faint, daisies smellless, yet most quaint, and sweet time true. Primrose, first-born child of Vere, merry springtime's harbinger, with her bells dim, Opslix... Oh, sorry, I've made a few mistakes here. Perhaps I should start again. What was I thinking? Is that there or where? Let's look that up quickly before I start again. So far, not a lot of help. Oh, it could be a place in France. In which case, I don't speak French, but I would guess it probably is supposed to be there. Because I know that is a sound in French, like, actually I was about to say Versailles, but is that Versailles or Versailles? I suspect it probably is referring to the place. It says it's a commune in the Manche department in Normandy. Well, there was certainly a great deal of contact between the British and the Normandy region, not least because we, to this day, have Norman monarchs, the descendants of William the Conqueror, and for a long time they were the same one territory, and of course they're the closest territory to the United Kingdom itself. So I'm guessing Vere was well known for growing primroses. That's the best idea I have. Anyway, let's go back and read it again. Bridal song. Roses, their sharp spines being gone, not royal in their smells alone, but in their hue. Maiden pinks of odour faint, daisies smellless, yet most quaint, and sweet time true. Primrose, firstborn child of air, merry springtime's harbinger with her bells dim, oxlips in their cradles growing, marigolds on deathbeds blowing, lark's heels trim. All dear nature's children sweet lie for bride and bridegroom's feet, blessing their scents, not an angel of the air, bird melodious or bird fair, be absence hence. The crow, the slanderous cuckoo, nor the boding raven, nor cho-haw, nor chattering pie, may on our bright house perch or sing, or with them any discord bring, but from it fly. I know it says question mark or John Fletcher, but these were all supposed to be poems by William Shakespeare. So does that mean they don't know the work it came from, or that is John Fletcher a possible author and they're not sure if it was William Shakespeare or him? Not sure. Now what was that word I couldn't pronounce? Cho. Choff. Either of two species of bird of the genus Pyrrhocorax in the crow family Corvidae, that breed mainly in high mountains and on coastal sea cliffs of Eurasia. Choff. Okay. So that's the crow, the slanderous cuckoo, nor the boding raven, nor choff-haw, nor chattering pie, may on our bright house perch or sing, or with them any discord bring, but from it fly. It's a nice little poem for what it is. It seems to be expressing the bride and bridegroom's wishes towards their nuptial period. Preferences for flowers and preferences for birds. I would point out that I assume that these are bird species that would have been considered in one way or another ominous might be too strong a word, but with negative connotations. So I suppose all it's really saying is that they wish for good things and not bad, although it's doing so through the conceit of discussing flowers and birds, which is interesting. I cannot find any explanation for what a pie is. It could be that the spelling has changed, or it could be that the name has changed. Either way, I don't know. I assume the chattering pie is another bird. If so, I don't know. What bird it is. So probably have to just leave that one as it is. What have we got in terms of form, rhythm and rhyme? The crow, that's iambic. The slanderous cuckoo. Is it? The crow is definitely iambic. The slanderous, that's iambic. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Hold on, how does that work? Have I miscounted my syllables or something? Probably. The crow, the slanderous, cuckoo, nor. Ah, feminine ending. They've added an extra, or whatever, the author has added an extra syllable. That's what was confusing me. The boding raven, nor, chuff haw. That was chuff, wasn't it? I'm not misremembering the pronunciation. Choff. Nor chuff haw. The boding raven, nor chuff haw. I mean, that's kind of iambic, but the problem is it takes the emphasis off of choff, which is normally the opposite of what you would do if you were speaking this line as though it were a normal English sentence. You would want to put stress on choff, I should think. Nor chattering pie. May on our bride house perch or sing, or with them any discord bring, but from it fly. Okay, so it seems to be 2 lines of iambic tetrameter followed by a line of iambic bimeter, I believe. Which is an interesting, though simple structure. Rhyming, gone, alone, that's an I rhyme. Hue, faint, quaint, true. Hue, true, faint, quaint. ABBA. There, harbinger, again I rhyme. Dim, trim, growing, blowing. Sweet feet. Okay, that's not an I rhyme. So yeah, it's an AABCCB rhyming scheme. Yep, I think we've said just about everything there is to say about this poem. At least not without some additional context or knowledge outside of the poem itself. So if you have any comments about this one, please leave them in chat and I will look as soon as I can. But otherwise we'll keep going. Dirge of the Three Queens. Now a dirge is a funeral song. What could the 3 queens be? Interesting. Urns and odours bring away. Vapours, sighs darken the day. A dull, more deadly looks and dying. Balms and gums and heavy cheers. Sacred vials filled with tears. And clamours through the wild air flying. Come, all sad and solemn shows that are quick-eyed pleasure's foes. We convent naught else but woes. Convent. What does convent mean as a verb? To call before a judge or judicature, to summon, to convene. Oh, so it's an older form of convene then. To meet together, to concur, to be convenient, to serve. Well, I doubt it means to be convenient or to serve, so I'm guessing we convent not else but woes means we bring nothing but woes together. Urns and odours bring away, vapours, sighs darken the day. Is it me or is the scansion here just not brilliant? Urns and odours bring away, vapours, sighs darken the day. Darken the day. Again, we're seeing evidence of trochaic meter, but with an iambic substitution on the last foot. No, that's not what's going on there. In this case. So we have urns and odours bring away. That's strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Then we have vapours, sighs darken the day. So that's actually strong, weak, strong, strong, weak, weak, strong, which doesn't correspond to any substitution that I'm aware of, because you've actually broken the foot. Because a trochee should be strong, weak, but they've actually swapped a strong and a weak syllable cross feet between 2 feet, which is surprising. Our dull more deadly looks and dying, balms and gums and heavy cheers, sacred vials filled with tears, and clamours through the wild air flying. Come, all sad and solemn shows, that our quick-eyed pleasures foes, we convent naught else but woes. I think I am missing some colossal context here concerning meaning. Like, I understand the language seems to oh, there's a name for this, isn't there? But I've forgotten. It all fits the theme of death and funerals. But I can't penetrate any deeper. I can't see what the poem is getting at. I wonder if it's actually referring to some historic event that I'm just not aware of, or some mythological event. I mean, with a name like Dirge of the Three Queens, you know, it almost confidently asserts the existence of these 3 queens, as if I'm supposed to immediately know who they're talking about, and I don't. I'll do a quick Wikipedia search for the three queens and see if it comes up with anything. Nah, nothing's come up which is overly convincing. So yeah, I don't know what this is referring to. Just 1 second, I'm checking something quickly. Nah, I can't find it. I was trying to look for the word for a group of words that tend to be used together. I don't mean collocation, because that's slightly different. I thought there was a name for a set of words that are contextually linked, but never mind. That's let's just carry on for now. So Orpheus. Was that... That's a Greek god. No, that's not the god of dreams. That's Morpheus, isn't it? Who's Orpheus, then? Apparently we've looked Orpheus up before. In Greek mythology was a Thracian bard, legendary musician and prophet. Oh! Was he the one we came across when we were playing the Forgotten City? Because there was a part in the game where they were talking about figures from mythology who had managed to break into the underworld and get back again. And I think they named several people, and one of them was Orpheus. He was also a renowned poet, and according to legend, travelled with Jason the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece, and even descended into the underworld of Hades to recover his lost wife, Eurydice. Yes. Okay. I'm with him now. Oh. Dol means lamentation, apparently, and convent summon. That makes sense. Those will be notes for the previous poem that are on the same page. So, Orpheus. Orpheus with his lute-made trees, and the mountain tops that freeze, bow themselves when he did sing. To his music plants and flowers ever sprung, as sun and showers there had made a lasting spring. Everything that heard him play, even the billows of the sea, hung their heads and then lay by. And sweet music is such art, killing care and grief of heart, fall asleep or hearing die. Oh, that was it. Another short one. It just seems to be a celebration of music, and the only conceit here is the discussion of Orpheus as a personification of great music. I'm seeing some 8-syllable lines and some 7-syllable lines. Orpheus, that's going to be trochaic, isn't it? Orpheus, with his lute-made trees. Ooh, that's not nice. Orpheus with his lute-made trees. Maybe that's supposed to be 2 syllables. Orpheus. Orpheus. Orpheus with his lute-made trees. Yes, that works. And if you wanted, you could demote the width to a Pyrrhic foot. At that point, it becomes an iambic tetramic line, but with the first foot featuring a trochaic substitution. And the mountain. No, it'd be and the mountain. Yeah, mountain is the first syllable that's stressed. And the mountain, tops that freeze. That's 7 syllables, is it not? And the mountain, tops that freeze. Yes. And it's trochaic. Wait, the first one's 7 if Orpheus is 1. Sorry. If Orpheus is 2 syllables, so 1 foot. Orpheus with his lute-made trees. So that's trochaic as well. Okay, this is trochaic then. This is trochaic tetrameter with a final syllable docked. But it does feature Pyrrhic substitution, I think, which is interesting. I know of no reason why you couldn't have Pyrrhic substitution in a trochaic poem. I just don't recall having encountered that before. Bow themselves when he did sing, to his music, plants and flowers. To his music, plants and flowers. Okay, they just haven't... That's trochaic, but they haven't docked the final syllable. That's all very legal within trochaic meters. Ever sprung as sun and showers, there had made a lasting spring. Okay. Everything that heard him play, even the billows of the sea. Does that work? Even the billows. No, that doesn't work. Even. That's a trochaic. The billows of the sea. That doesn't work at all. Because we've lost a beat. There should be 4 strong beats, but there's only 3. And the only strong beat that does occur is in the wrong position. It's on the 4th syllable, when it should be on an odd syllable if this is Dracaic poetry. I mean, you could try and make that work by claiming that it's some combination of substitutions. But that really doesn't... That really... doesn't play well with the scansion. Hung their heads and then lay by. In sweet... Hold on. You wouldn't say in sweet, surely. It would be in sweet. But then you've got music afterwards, so maybe you have to. Maybe you have to wrench the rhythm. In sweet music. Right, music. Music. I'm pretty sure the stress in music is on the 2nd syllable. Let me read it as just prose. In sweet music, in sweet music, in such art. In sweet music, in such art. In sweet music, music. Yes. Okay. So that tells us that again we've got a strong beat on a 4th syllable for some reason. In such art. So that is the same problem as in billows of the sea. Killing care and grief of heart, fall asleep or hearing die. So I suppose the question is this just William Shakespeare having a bad day? Or is there something more complex going on here which I'm not knowledgeable enough to recognise? I mean, it could be either. If this is the actual name of the poem, and not some stand-in title that the anthologist has used for a poem that didn't otherwise have a name, I wonder if it has a Wikipedia article. Doesn't look like it. That's a shame. I was hoping that there might be a discussion of the scansion there, but no such luck. Well, we've discussed the meaning, we've discussed the rhythm. What about the rhyme? Trees freeze, sing, flowers, showers, spring. So A, A, B, C, C, B. Do we see that again? Play, see. Those don't rhyme. Buy, art, heart, die. So we've got the B, C, C, B at the end with the buy and die and the art and heart, but play and see don't rhyme. Interesting. I mean, if you're going to be really pedantic, trees and freeze don't actually rhyme either. Because oh, what's the name for it? Oh dear, my memory. that they're half rhymes in so much as there's consonants but not assonants, but also S and Z are very close consonants phonetically. The two words aren't quite minimal pairs because they differ both in the ending and the beginning, but the consonants S and Z are... the difference in this case is actually voicing. I think they're... are they alveolar fricatives or something? I think so. But I could be wrong, I think so. But the difference between them is whether you voice. If you don't voice, you get an S. If you do voice, you get a Z. So I suppose what I'm trying to get at is not only are they half rhymes, but even by the standards of half rhymes, they're really quite close together. So I assumed that that was actually supposed to be a rhyme. It was that the author was trying to create a rhyme artificially by a bit of clever slurring. Which, I mean, is you'll find that sort of technique very commonly today in popular music, and especially rap music and hip-hop. But judging by the second stanza, maybe not. Maybe it's actually an A, B, C, D, D, C rhyming scheme. Still, yet again, I think we've done that particular, or I think we've done the analysis of a poem to death, so let's keep going. What do we have now? The Phoenix and the Turtle. That's certainly an interesting title. I'm trying to determine if this is a separate poem or not. Where it says Threnos. If it were, it would have a different number at the start, wouldn't it? And it doesn't, so this must all be part of the same poem. So perhaps Threnos is a location, and this is written almost like scenes in a play. Just guesswork, I could be completely wrong. I was wondering earlier, because these were described as being ballads, even though they don't have the same structure as a ballad, I was wondering if perhaps these were actually extracts from William Shakespeare's plays. Perhaps they were songs that characters would sing, in which case that might explain why we're not seeing deeper meaning in them than their apparent surface meaning. Because if that's the case, then their function within the play would be to tell us something about the character in this larger work at that point in time. And so you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be overly sophisticated, because the sophistication would be contained in how that song fits into the entire work of the play, not in the song itself. But I could be completely and utterly wrong. That's just a hypothesis. Let's carry on. The Phoenix and the Turtle. Let the bird of loudest lay on the sole Arabian tree, herald sad and trumpet be, to whose sound chaste wings obey. But thou shrieking harbinger, foul procurer of the fiend, augur of the fever's end, to this troop come thou not near. From this session interdict every fowl of tyrant wing, save the eagle feathered king, keep the obsequy so strict. Let the priest in surplice white, that defunctive music can, be the deaf divining swan, lest the requiem lack his right. And thou, treble-dated crow, that thy sable gendered makest, with the breath thou givest and takest, amongst our mourners shalt thou go. Here the anthem doth commence, love and constancy is dead, Phoenix and the turtle fled, in a mutual flame from hence. So they loved, as love in twain had the essence but in one, two distincts, division none, done but there and love was slain. Hearts remote yet not asunder, distance and no space was seen, twixt the turtle and his queen, but in them it were a wonder. So between them love did shine, that the turtle saw his right, flaming in the phoenix's sight, either was the other's mine. Property was thus appalled, that the self was not the same, single nature's double name, neither two nor one was called. Reason in itself confounded, saw division grow together, to themselves yet even neither, simple were so well compounded, that it cried, how true a twain seemeth this concordant one, love hath reason, reason none, if what parts can so remain. Whereupon it made this threen, to the phoenix and the dove, co-supremes and stars of love, as chorus to their tragic scene. Beauty, truth and rarity, grace in all simplicity, here enclosed in cinders lie. Death is now the phoenix's nest, and the turtle's loyal breast to eternity doth rest. Leaving no posterity, 'twas not their infirmity, it was married chastity. Truth may seem, but cannot be, beauty brag, but 'tis not she, truth and beauty buried be. To this urn let those repair, that are either true or fair, for these dead birds sigh a prayer. Oh, that'll be turtle as in turtle dove, not as in the reptile with a shell. I don't know why that took me so long. Feels like there's a lot going on here. Okay, let's have a very quick look at the rhythm and the rhyme, and then I think I'll read through it again slowly so we can try to piece together the meaning. Well, the rhyming scheme seems straightforward. It's A, B, B, A, lay, obey, tree, B, harbinger, near, doesn't quite work. Fiend, end. That's an I rhyme. As is... interdict, strict, wing, king. Okay, yeah, I do think it's supposed to be A, B, B, A, even if some of the choices are questionable. White, right, can, swan. So, yeah. As for the meter, let the bird of loudest lay on the sole Arabian tree. Are we dealing with trochaic tetrameter again? Herald, sad, and trumpet be, to whose sound chaste wings obey. Seems like it. But thou shrieking harbinger. Yeah. Foul procurer of the fiend. So yeah, I'd suggest it's trochaic tetrameter, often with the last syllable docked to give it a masculine ending. And as we previously said, it's an ABBA rhyming scheme. So the meaning, let's go through this one stanza at a time. Let the bird of loudest lay on the sole Arabian tree, herald sad and trumpet be, to whose sound chaste wings obey. Right, what does that mean? Let the bird of loudest lay. See, when it says loudest lay, presumably it means lay as in a song. Not as in being loud whilst laying eggs. Or any other sense of the word lay. Where is it? I could, a ballad or sung poem, yes. So birds have beautiful songs, so let the bird of loudest lay on the sole Arabian tree. No idea what that's a reference to. Absolute stab in the dark. Maybe the forbidden tree from the Bible. Could be a million miles off though. No idea. Herald sad and trumpet be, to whose sound chaste wings obey. Lost me again. Herald sad and trumpet be, to whose sound chaste wings obey. But thou shrieking harbinger, foul procurer of the fiend. The fiend is presumably the devil. Procurer is someone that acquires things for someone. So perhaps this is a reference to leading people into sin? Augur of the fever's end. Now an augury, is that not a conversation with the divine? So augur probably refers to divination. To this troop come thou not near. Oh, thank you for the follow, Posey Murdick. I do appreciate it. To this troop come thou not near. Okay. I think I'm starting to piece parts of this together. So the speaker in this poem is referring to two lovers, or is going to be, and I think the bird that they're referring to, the one with the loudest lay, is causing individuals, in this case birds, because that's the conceit in this poem, to abandon their chastity. And so at this point the speaker is asking the this bird of sin, if you will, not to come near them. From this session, interdict. Right, what do I mean by interdict? Does that mean interrupt? A papal decree prohibiting the administration of the sacraments from a political entity under the power of a single person, e.g. a king or oligarchy with similar powers. An injunction to exclude someone or somewhere from participating in church services, to place under religious interdict, to forbid. Okay. So, from this session, interdict. So, I think that's just continuing the sentiment from the previous stanza. Every fowl of tyrant wing, save the eagle, feathered king, keep the obsequy so strict. Obsequy. What's that? The last office for the dead. A funeral rite or service. From the Latin obsequial, complacent yielding. I'm going to check my physical dictionary for this, see if it can offer any additional insight. Obsidian, observant, obsecration, obsequies, which is presumably the plural of obsequy. Funeral rites, a funeral. So that probably is what it's referring to. Keep the obsequy so strict. Okay, so from this session, interdict, so forbid from this occasion, every fowl of tyrant wing, so every bird that is tyrannical. I assume that as part of the conceit of this poem they are classifying certain birds as being tyrants, presumably the large predatory birds. Save the eagle, feathered king, so we really like eagles, so you're exempt. Keep the obsequy so strict. So I think this is the part where they reveal in this poem that the lovers, who are being represented by two birds, have passed on. And they're just entreatying, the speaker is entreatying these other birds to respect the dead, I think. Let the priest in surplice white... Alright, what's surplice? A liturgical vestment of the Christian Church in the form of a tunic of white linen or cotton material, with wide or moderately wide sleeves reaching to the hips or knees, usually featuring lace decoration and embroidered bordures. Okay, so this is priestly robes, which figures with the references to a funeral. Let the priest in surplice white, that defunctive music can, be the deaf divining swan, lest the requiem lack his right. Now, a requiem, isn't that another type of funeral song? A mass to honour and remember a dead person. Okay, it's a mass, not a song. But On the right lines, let the priest in surplice white that defunctive music can. Oh, the grammar here. Let the priest in surplice white. So I swap those around. That defunctive music can let the priest in surplice white be the death divining swan, lest the requiem lack his right. Is that saying unless he has no right to hold a mass in their honour? Because that would make logical sense, but I don't see how that would serve the poem's purposes. Question mark. And thou, treble-dated crow. What's a treble-dated crow? Somehow I get the feeling we're not going to find treble-dated, but we can try. No. Dated 3 times? Or does it refer to a treble voice? I don't know. That thy sable gender makest. Sable. Doesn't that mean light blonde or something along those lines? A black colour on a coat of arms. A dark brown colour resembling the fur of some sables. Okay, I was the complete opposite end of the colour spectrum. It's a dark brown. That thy sable gender makest. With the breath thou givest and takest, mongst our mourners shalt thou go. So I don't know what's treble-dated about this crow. Or rather, I don't know what to be treble-dated means, and I'm not sure what they mean when they say sable gender. How can a gender be dark brownish in colour? I'll double check there's not some other meaning of the word gender that I'm not aware of. Oh, class or kind. Ah, that actually makes sense, and it shares an etymology with genus. Sable gender makest, with the breath thou givest and takest, amongst our mourners shalt thou go. So I think that's saying your sable kind makes you, in combination with the breath thou givest and takest. Not sure what specifically that's a reference to, giving breath and taking breath, but still. Those things make you a treble-dated crow, apparently. And you're among the mourners. No, we're ordering you to go amongst the mourners. I feel like I'm half following this, but also half of it's going off over the top of my head. Incidentally, if anyone has any specific theories or anything they want to discuss, please leave a comment in chat. I always welcome interaction. Let's continue. Here the anthem doth commence. Love and constancy is dead. Phoenix and the turtle fled. As we discussed previously, that's almost certainly a turtle dove, not the reptile with a hard shell. And a mutual flame from hence. So we know that when the phoenix dies, it's supposed to go up in flames, and then from the ashes a new phoenix is born. So the anthem of their death, which is presumably the phoenix and the turtle, is that love and constancy is dead. Which is a very typical sentiment that, you know, these virtues of the past have no longer exist. Phoenix and the turtle fled in a mutual flame from hence. So I wonder if fled means they fled from life. in a mutual flame from hence. I suppose it could be referring to a double suicide, but that seems dubious. Actually, is it so dubious? I was about to say, because of course suicide is a sin, it would be hard to imagine them in Elizabethan England being quite so free with such an idea. But then what about Romeo and Juliet? So actually this maybe does figure. So they loved, as love in twain had the essence but in one. So they loved, as love in twain, so love split into two, had the essence but in one. Nope, don't follow that. So they loved, as love in twain had the essence but in one. I mean, that second part seems to be implying that when they were separate, only one of them felt the pangs of love. But at the same time, everything up till now would seem to contradict that. So, I'm not sure I'm understanding that properly. Two distincts, division none. Ah, that explains it. Okay. So even when they were separated, they still had one love. That's quite the sophisticated poetic imagery there. Number there and love was slain. So I think by number there and love they mean plurality. There is only one love. There may be two of them, but there is only one love. Oh, it says here can, knows. So this is a note for this page. So somewhere, presumably, there was the word can and it meant knows. As in canny, I assume. That must... Where is it? Ah, that defunctive music can. Okay, so knows. So if we go back to this bit, the defunctive music knows so let the priest in surplice white that defunctive music knows be the deaf divining swan, lest the requiem lack is right. So I may be rearranging this wrongly, but is that saying the defunctive music knows that the priest in surplice white is the deaf divining swan? I mean, I assume swan here is only being used to continue this conceit of everything being about birds. So presumably the priest here is actually a swan, but I imagine there's also some I imagine it's no coincidence they chose a swan, as a swan is both a noble bird and an auspicious bird, if I recall correctly. So requiem lack is right. So I don't think overall that's cleared this stanza up much for me, but good to know. So where were we? Right, we'd got this far, and it seemed to be saying that. It seemed to be stressing the fact that when they're in love, there is only one. There is the love. There is not two. Hearts remote, yet not asunder. Distance and no space was seen, twixt the turtle and his queen, but in them it were a wonder. Okay, now we have them gendered. The turtle dove is male, the phoenix... Sorry. Yes, and the phoenix is the female. But in them it were a wonder. So the fact that they'd fallen in love was wondrous, I think, is what it's stressing here. Incidentally, I do like this language. These 3 lines. Hearts remote, yet not asunder. Distance no space was seen twixt the turtle and his queen. That's particularly eloquent, I think. So between them love did shine, that the turtle saw his right, flaming in the phoenix's sight. Saw his right. I've got a sneaking suspicion that that doesn't mean right as in a legal right, as in the justified right to do, the justified power to do something. So between them love did shine, that the turtle saw his right, flaming in the phoenix's sight. Maybe it does, in the sense that the right to initiate and continue romantic relations, possibly? Though I think that may be stretching it. Either was the other's mine. Oh, that's a nice line, isn't it? Property was thus appalled. What do I mean by appalled in this sense? Shocked, horrified by something unpleasant. I assume that's not what they mean by appalled. Let me check my physical dictionary quickly. Oh, hold on. There's more down here. It could be appall with 2 L's or appall with 1 L. I suppose we'll have to check both. To fill with horror, to dismay, to make pale, to blanch, to weaken, to reduce in strength, to grow faint, to become weak, to become dismayed or discouraged, to lose flavour or become stale. Unlikely. And the other one? 1 L. UK spelling of appall. Okay. So checking my physical dictionary quickly. Appeal, apparel, appall. Dismay, terrify, hence appallingly. Huh. That doesn't help. Property was thus appalled that the self was not the same. Single nature's double name, neither 2 nor 1 was called. Property was thus appalled. Could it be property that doesn't have the meaning that you'd think it does? Could it have a meaning along the lines of propriety? Sorry. Something that is owned, real estate, exclusive right of possessing, an attribute or abstract quality, propriety, correctness. Yes, we're getting somewhere. Property was thus appalled that the self was not the same. Single nature's double name, neither 2 nor 1 was called. So, from property was thus appalled that the self was not the same, I would conclude that it's getting at the fact that they're of 2 different species, but that is a guess. Single nature's double name, neither 2 nor 1 was called. I'm not following that. I feel like it's probably emphasizing the previous point in a witty way, but I can't follow it. Reason in itself confounded, saw division grow together. To themselves yet even neither, simple were so well compounded. I think that's saying that despite the differences between them, they grew together. So reason in itself confounded, so this is an unreasonable thing, this is beyond rational thought, saw division grow together, so their differences didn't stop them from growing close. To themselves yet even neither, simple were so well compounded. I could be wrong. I think that's again stressing the fact that they became one, not two. To themselves yet either neither. Simple were so well compounded. I think that's what it's saying, but I can't be sure. That it cried, how true a twain seemeth this concordant one. Love hath reason, reason none, if what parts can so remain. So again, this seems to be stressing the fact that they were so different and yet together, I think. Whereupon it made this threen, to the phoenix and the dove, co-supremes and stars of love, as chorus to their tragic scene. Right, what's a threen? A dirge or lamentation. So this is nature, is it? No, this is reason. Reason. Talking about reason up here. That it cried. Whereupon it made this threen to the phoenix and the dove, co-supremes and stars of love. Oh, threnos. I wonder if that's Latin for a funeral lament then. Oh, threnos is. That's probably... I don't speak Greek, let alone ancient Greek, but I wonder if threnos is the Greek for funeral lament rendered into the Roman alphabet. So, whereupon it made this threen to the phoenix and the dove, co-supremes and stars of love, as chorus to their tragic scene. That is so beautifully written, though. It's a shame, there's so much of this that I don't think I'm following, but the bits that I do seem so well constructed. So this is the threnos. Beauty, truth and rarity, grace in all simplicity, here enclosed in cinders lie, death is now the oh, I see what he did there. That was clever. By introducing another poem inside this poem, he gave himself the excuse to change the form. That was slick. Beauty, truth and rarity, grace in all simplicity, here enclosed in cinders lie, death is now the phoenix nest, and the turtle's loyal breast to eternity doth rest. That all seems self-explanatory. So, first of all, it's describing their love as beautiful, truthful and rare, and graceful in all simplicity. Then it goes on to say about how inside the phoenix's nest, the remains of this lie, the cinders. Again, we know that when a phoenix dies, it goes up in flames, so this is sticking with the imagery of the conceit. And the turtle's loyal breast to eternity doth rest, so the turtle doves who was loyal is now eternally resting. Leaving no posterity, 'twas not their infirmity, it was married chastity. Oh, that's interesting. I think that's saying they could have had children, but they chose not to. Truth may sing, but cannot be. Beauty brag, but 'tis not she. Truth and beauty buried be. So earlier on it was talking about how... Where was it? Love and constancy is dead. And so down here it's saying, truth may seem, so it may seem to be true, but it cannot be true. And beauty brags, so you may see something that seems to be bragging of being beautiful, but it's not real beauty. Whatever it is you're looking at cannot be true and it cannot be beautiful because they are already buried. They were buried with the two loving birds. To this urn let those repair that are either true or fair, for these dead birds sigh a prayer. Okay, once again, once we go through it slowly and carefully and break it down, I find that I end up enjoying it a lot more. I still feel like there's a fair amount of this one that I'm missing though. It's nice though. The bits that I understood, very nice. Interestingly, I don't think he changed the... meter when he moved into the second poem. What he did was he changed it from sets of 4 lines of ABBA rhyming structure to 3 lines which all rhyme, AAA. Which I suppose would make the 2 parts knit together a bit better as well if they're in the same meter. But you still have a very... But there's still a very marked change. Even if the change is congruous. I enjoyed that one in the end. Right, let's move on to the riddles, shall we? I think 140 must have been the one we finished off on last week. Yeah, looks like it. I don't... looking at the first line of the next one, I don't recognise it. So, I descend from a king, and 'tis sure a strange thing, that from court I am banished away, arrayed in silk clothes, and connected with bows, a long menagerie for my display. Sorry, a long meagre for my display. I do apologise. Though bound, I keep pace with my lord in the chase, and follow direct in a line, but when he's dressed out for a levee or rout, the fate of the fox may be mine. How vain to count those who my body compose, though united we're separate quite. Sufficient to say, I exist in the day, and seldom, if ever, at night. Though I do suppress my descent on my dress, my name I don't choose to betray, but to puzzle you more, you ne'er saw me before, though again very often you may. And I believe the solution to that was a pigtail. One point that might make that seem confusing, however, is the fact that nowadays when we think of pigtails, see, I've already done it, I said it in the plural, pigtails, is we think of what is essentially 2 ponytails which are on either side of the head. But apparently, until fairly modern times, when people refer to a pigtail, they were actually referring to a plaited ponytail. I don't know what name, if any, we would give to a plaited ponytail other than a ponytail. Because, of course, when you think of a ponytail, you don't think of one that's plaited. Or at least I don't. Perhaps I'm strange in that way. But anyway, and this was apparently worn by soldiers, and by the sounds of things, even by kings who were at war. But when they had to put on a when appearances mattered more, the pigtail would go the way of the fox, which is to say that it would not it would no longer be there. Of course, it's not 100% clear if they're cutting it off or if they're just restyling their hair, but either way. What's the other point I was going to make? And as I mentioned last week, it's really interesting that they say sufficient to say I exist in the day and seldom, if ever, at night, because that implies that they didn't wear ponytails at night for some reason, which may be true, but the obvious question then becomes why? What was so terrible about wearing... Sorry, did I say ponytail? I meant pigtail. What was so terrible about wearing a pigtail at night? Anyway, I will double check this, but I'm reasonably confident. A pigtail, a queue is another name for a pigtail. Also, I do apologise for scrolling down too far, because you may have seen the answer to the next one. Fortunately, I didn't read it. But if you were following along and you read it just then, all I can do is apologise. So, the first new riddle of today. The mother of evil, the parent of good. I never could eat, yet make all things my food. I am grave, I am gay, I am foolish and wise. Some men I degrade, while I make others rise. I cause pleasure and pain, sweet concord and strife. All things can create and destroy all in life. Or as found in the ark, have been known ere since. Men, women, and children this truth can evince. And ne'er shall relinquish my station on earth, while on it I've found wisdom, folly, or worth. One hint further I'll give, then bid you adieu. At this time I am happy in dwelling with you. Interesting. So, immediate thoughts. Something like mystery. That doesn't quite figure, but something of that ilk. Confusion. That's possible, isn't it? Why would confusion be associated with wisdom, folly, or worth, though? It could be confusion, though, wouldn't it? That would make sense with the arc, potentially. By which I assume they mean Noah's Ark. Curiosity? Although it's not clear why that would take life. mother of evil, the parent of good. Why the parent of good? I never could eat, yet make all things my food. I am grave, I am gay, I am foolish and wise. So men I degrade while make others rise. Misunderstanding? Cause pleasure and pain, sweet concord and strife, while things can create and destroy all, even life. I was found in the ark, have been known ever since. Men, women and children this truth can evince. And ne'er shall relinquish my station on earth, while I have found wisdom, folly or worth. One hint further I'll give, then bid you adieu. At this time I am happy in dwelling with you. I still can't think of an answer more convincing than confusion. Ignorance? That wouldn't follow the wise though, would it? I'm trying to think, a word that epitomizes the unknown. Something to be researched or discovered. Because you could imagine how something for which there isn't sufficient evidence could either cause someone to rise or fall. No, I'm gonna guess confusion. I feel like there's a better answer there somewhere, but I can't think of it. So, let's look it up. A thought. Interesting. The mother of evil, the parent of good. That makes sense. I never could eat, yet make all things my food. Okay, that's clever. I didn't think of that. I'm grave, I'm gay, I'm foolish and wise. Some men I degrade, while I make others rise. So the first bit, that makes sense. The second bit, while not strictly speaking untrue, seems misleading to me. I suppose in the degrade or rise in the eyes of the thinker, that makes sense. I cause pleasure and pain, sweet concord and strife, all things can create and destroy, even life. I was found in the ark, have been known ever since. This is misleading. Why would you trace it back to Noah's ark? Assuming that's the ark they're referring to. Since I believe the Bible makes it perfectly clear that Adam and Eve could think. Men, women and children this truth can evince. And ne'er shall relinquish my station on earth, while on it are found wisdom, folly or worth. One hint further I'll give, then bid you adieu. At this time I am happy in dwelling with you. Okay. Now I know the solution. I feel like it was particularly clever in combination with parts of the riddle, but other parts of it were much more dubious. Still, it is what it is. Let's move on. So, 142. My body's tall and slender, smooth and gay, in martial armour clad and bright array. Nor even the heroes of the Grecian host more splendour in their spears and shields could boast. But though so glorious I at first appear, I'm such a monster in my shape, I fear my next account will shame my character. My head more bulky than my body grows. If head can be without mouth, ears, eyes, nose, no feet I have, I'm lame as well as blind. Oh, lame. I think that's just, it could be a bad printing or it could be a bad scanning. I'm lame as well as blind, yet with 2 legs before, 1 hand behind. I still victorious prove, to bless mankind, joined by my Maker in a nuptial state. True as the cooing turtle to her mate. Again we see turtle used to refer to, I assume, a turtle dove, not the reptile with a shell. In happy climes we fix our station where Diana's sports divert us all the year. Diana's sports? That's archery, is it not? Take a fresh tour each day with equal pace, nor seek in vain the fortune of the chase. Our rage, insatiate, flies at every game, at fish and beast and fowl, or wild or tame. 10 more associates join to seize the prey, but I still claim the honour of the day, and bear in triumph all the prizes away. Alright, this feels like a massive clue. This feels like this is used in hunting somehow, and is probably involved in transportation. Although that's strange, because I'm 99.9% certain that when people used to go hunting, they had people there, often young boys, who were responsible for carrying the prey. Then again, I am thinking of smaller animals. Animals that you could reasonably expect a young boy to be able to carry, or even carry a number of, like, for example, rabbits. I don't think they'd usually go hunting for rabbits per se, in the sense of hunting as a sport, that was called rabbiting, and that was a different affair, and they wouldn't be using guns or arrows. But my point being, my recollections of how it was done would necessarily only, if true, could necessarily only be true for smaller animals like perhaps game birds. If they were hunting a larger animal, like say a boar with a bow and arrow, then they'd have to have a different solution. So perhaps then that's the solution to this riddle? But I still claim the honour of the day and bear in triumph all the prize away. Nor ladies are my meanest praises due. Nor ladies are my meanest praises due, that oft I sacrifice my spoils to you. What do I mean by meanest praises? The only way that figures to me is if they're using that in a slightly different way grammatically to how we would today. Nor ladies are my meanest praises due. They do say nor, which implies what follows is going to be negative. So meanest praises would presumably mean most unkind compliments, which seems like an odd way to phrase things. But nor ladies are my meanest praises due, I think would mean nor are my most unkind compliments fair. And where it says that oft I sacrifice my spoils to you, I think it probably means as often I sacrifice my spoils to you. I may be analysing that wrong, but that's the only way that figures to me. Isn't it interesting how throughout it's been using these curly braces to create sets of 3? Because you can use grammar to do the same thing. So I feel like this is actually encoding some important meaning which I may be missing. Unless it's saying, nor are my meanest praises due, that oft I sacrifice my spoils to you. Unless that means that it's not true I often sacrifice my spoils to you. But then that would mean that suggesting that the solution to this riddle is that the object that is the solution to this riddle sacrifices its spoils to ladies. That would suggest that that's a mean praise, which again I'm interpreting as a unkind compliment, which seems odd. Hello, Jenny. Right. Let's read it again. My body's tall and slender, smooth and gay. Tall and slender. So is this something that's upright? Because something which is significantly longer in one dimension but wouldn't normally be upright, you wouldn't necessarily call tall. You wouldn't call a snake tall, for example. Smooth and gay. So in some way the solution to this riddle is happy. In martial armour clad and bright array. Okay, that's interesting. It says in martial armour. See, I initially interpreted that as meaning it's just made out of metal. But then again, why would they emphasise the martial if that's the case? Perhaps for scansion. Since this riddle is also a form of poem. And bright array, so it's brightly coloured. That's interesting. So it's probably made out of metal, and it's probably brightly coloured. Given that this book was written in the turn of the 19th century, that is very interesting. When would they have been painting metal, and why? Perhaps they did. I mean, they certainly would have had no difficulty getting a hold of metal. I suppose they would have had metal paints. Not even the heroes of the Grecian host, more splendour in their spears and shields could boast. I don't think this is implying that whatever this object is has spears and shields. I think it's just saying that it's more splendid than their spears and shields. But though so glorious, I at first appear. I'm such a monster in my shape, I fear. My next account will shame my character. My head more bulky than my body grows. So it has a head. So it's tall and it has a head. It does say grows. I wonder if that means it changes shape, or if that's just a more poetic way of saying that one part of it's larger than the other. If head can be without mouth, ears, eyes, nose, no feet I have, I'm lame as well as blind. Right, okay, so this isn't a literal head. I think we'd already figured that out, but it's worth emphasising. What objects have heads? I mean, clocks have faces. They don't really have heads. A nail has a head? I'd be very surprised if that's the solution to this, though. With two legs before, one hand behind, so it has legs and hands. Why do I have the sneaking suspicion I'm not going to get this one? I'm still victorious prove to bless mankind, joined by my maker in a nuptial state. So it's married to its maker. Does that mean that each person makes one for themselves and then they wear it? I mean, the only other alternative would be if there's some implement you use to make an object and then that implement becomes part of the object in the end. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of an example of that, but I mean, it kind of makes sense that you might... Okay, this is a bit of a stretch, but if you took, for example, a toffee apple, for example, you might skewer the apple, and then you might use the skewer to put the apple into the molten toffee mixture, but then that becomes, the skewer itself becomes a stick on which to eat it, for example. So it has a head, it has 2 legs and 1 hand. A clock would have many hands. So again, we can be fairly certain this isn't a clock, and it's married to its maker. Actually... No. I may have misinterpreted this. Joined by my maker in a nuptial state. It doesn't say joined to my maker in a nuptial state. So perhaps this is emphasizing that it comes in 2 or more parts and the maker puts those parts together. True as the cooing turtle to her mate. In happy climes we fix our station where Diana's sports divert us all the year. This isn't something like a sundial? No, it can't be. Take a fresh tour each day with equal pace. So does it move? What? What objects have legs? I mean tables, chairs? But they don't move. Could it be some sort of cart? I mean, you wouldn't usually describe a cart as having a head. But then again, I don't know specifically what sort of cart this would be. Maybe a certain type of cart was described as having a head? Nor seek in vain the fortunes of the chase. Take a fresh tour each day with equal pace, nor seek in vain the fortunes of the chase. That would be hunting. A rage insatiates flies at every game. A rage insatiate flies at every game. I assume that means rage is in anger, and that's just confusing. At fish and beast and fowl, or wild or tame. Okay, I think we can be fairly certain here that we're talking about something that is involved in the procurement of animals in a hunting sense. But that it can be used for any number of animals. It's not specific. 10 more associates join to seize the prey. Is it a trap? A metal trap, like a bear trap? Or a man trap? But I still claim the honour of the day, and bear in triumph all the prize away. Nor ladies are my meanest praises due, that oft I sacrifice my spoils to you. A trap with legs, a trap with a hand, a trap with a head. But you wouldn't catch a fish with a trap. Or not like that, not like a bear trap, that would be madness. A net, maybe. But a net doesn't have legs and hands and a head. And it's not made of metal either, or brightly coloured. I'm probably going to have to throw in the towel again. Bit of a shame to attempt 2 riddles and not get a 1, but I think they got me good here. Joined by my maker in a nuptial state. I mean, that could be something vaguely chainmail-like. Lots of rings all linked together. You could make a sort of net out of that, and then you could carry a creature away on it. But why would you bother? You would just use threads. You wouldn't make it out of chainmail and then paint it brightly. No, I think I'm gonna have to throw in the towel on this one. It's a pity, but But I think they got the better of me. Right, we don't want to go too far, do we? A fork? Really? That was the solution? Let's go back and read it again. My body's tall and slender, smooth and gay, in martial armour clad and bright array. That's misleading. It is made out of metal, and I can understand that it's bright in the sense of shiny. But I wouldn't call it martial armour clad for something like a fork unless it was only plated, as opposed to actually made of metal. Not even the heroes of the Grecian host more splendour in their spears and shields could boast. But though so glorious I at first appear, I'm such a monster in my shape, I fear my next account will shame my character. My head more bulky than my body grows. That's true. A fork does have a bulkier head than a body. If head can be without mouth, ears, eyes, nose, nor feet I have, I'm lame as well as blind. Yep. Yet with 2 legs before, 1 hand behind. That's misleading. I think this is a 2-pronged fork they're describing, and they're calling the prongs legs and the handle a hand. Which... It's possible that back then they would have described those things as such, but it seems, as I say, tremendously misleading, at least by the standards of today's language. I still victorious prove, to bless mankind, joined by my Maker in a nuptial state. That I don't follow. Oh, metalworking, perhaps. Perhaps it comes in more than one part, then they effectively welded them together. Although I suppose if you're metalworking, it's not quite welding, but joined. True as the cooing turtle to a mate. In happy climes we fix our station where Diana's sports divert us all the year. So it sounds like forks have some association with hunting, probably hunting by archery. News to me. Take a fresh tour every day with equal pace, nor seek in vain the fortunes of the chase. A rage insatiate flies at every game. No idea what that's about. At fish and beast and fowl, or wild or tame, 10 more associates join to seize the prey. Still not following. But I still claim the honour of the day, and bear in triumph all the prize away. Nor, ladies, are my meanest praises due, that oft I sacrifice my spoils to you. Well, that last bit just sounds like a description of using a fork to eat with. I don't know, I may be missing some historical context here, but that particular riddle I wasn't impressed with. Let's try one more. So, 143. Long my small body lay in earthen bed, till the bright sun drew forth my tender head. So I'm thinking something plant-like? Pleased with the warmth and nourished with the gleams, I stretched my trunk to meet the cheering beams. Extended far from small to great my name, a noted sacred simile became. Interesting. But age, inexorable age, drew nigh. Cut down, dried up, and withered now I lie. My fruit torn from my body straight is stored, for man that haughty, stern, devouring lord. These are my strength, in those my virtue lie. I live in these, although my body die. Then bruised and penned, immured in walls around, close pent I lie, in liquid atoms drowned. Hence I arise, with greater strength supplied, perfect as silver in the furnace tried. I know no danger, for I fear no foe. To temperance I am a kind indulgent show. But gluttons shall my dire resentment know. I bite the biter, and the stout oppose. I took the mighty Marlborough by the nose. Then, ladies, name the object of your fears. What taints a breath and draws unpitied tears? An onion. I only got it on... Well, I may be wrong, but it's the very end that made me leap to that conclusion. What's a Marlboro? There's apparently a Duke of Marlborough, so presumably it's a place. May also be a person. Huh. Wiktionary had a curious reference. Huh. Although it's not showing up when I go to the page. I'll show you what I mean. I looked up Marlborough and found fabling poets tell that wavering conquest still desires to rove. In Marlborough's camp the goddess knows to dwell, long as the hero life remains her. But when I went on the page and tried to search it, I couldn't find any reference to that. But anyway, that narrows it down to a place and a person, maybe a mythological figure. So let's read this again under the assumption that the solution is an onion. Long my small body lay in earthen bed, till the bright sun drew forth my tender head. Pleased with the warmth and nourished with the gleams, I stretched my trunk to meet the cheering beams. So far so good. Extended far from small to great my name. A noted sacred simile became. If onions are a simile, I don't know to what. But age, inexorable age, drew nigh. Cut down, dried up, and withered now I lie. My fruit torn from my body straight is stored. For man, that haughty, stern, devouring lord. These are my strength, in those my virtue lie. I live in these, although my body die. These are my strength, in those my virtue lie. I live in these, although my body die. Where it says these are my strength, what are your strengths? The stuff that came above, which referred to you being cut down and dried up, or what's to follow. Then bruised and penned, immured in walls around. Immured around walls. I believe immured means sort of imprisoned, doesn't it? That would make sense if this was a kitchen they were describing. Imprisoned or confined, yes. Close pent I lie, in liquid atoms drowned. A pickled onion. Hence I arise with greater strength supplied, perfect as silver in the furnace tried. I'm not sure what that's actually saying, other than just saying it's better than pure silver. I know no danger, for I fear no foe. To temperance I am a kind indulgent show. Temperance would be the movement of not drinking alcohol. So, well, as well as not giving into other forms of intoxication. So I guess the reference, I guess this might be insinuating that those that follow temperance tend to have a certain dullness to their diet, which onions help work around, perhaps. But glutton shall my dire resentment know. I bite the biter and the stout oppose. I took the mighty Marlborough by the nose. Marlborough. Still not sure what that is. Although it does have an apostrophe there. Could that be a shortening? If it is, I don't know of what. Where was I? Then ladies name the object of your fears, what taints the breath and draws unpitied tears. Yeah, I'm still guessing an onion. Slowly. Fork. Mustard. Blast. Oops. So it was mustard, not an onion. So, long my small body lay in earthen bed, till the bright sun drew forth my tender head. Pleased with the warmth and nourished with the gleams, I stretched my trunk to meet the cheering beams. I don't actually know what mustard looks like when it grows. Like this, apparently. Grinding and mixing the seeds with water, vinegar, or other liquids creates a yellow condiment known as prepared mustard. Okay. Extended far from small to great my name, a noted sacred simile became. I don't know what mustard is as a simile. No, can't see an obvious reference online, so let's keep going. But age, inexorable age, drew nigh, cut down, dried up, and withered now I lie. My fruit torn from my body straight is stored, for man that haughty, stern, devouring lord. These are my strength, in those my virtue lie, I live in these, although my body die. Then bruised and penned, immured in walls around, close pent I lie, in liquid atoms drowned. So maybe that's just referring to mustard in a pot. Hence I arise, with greatest strength supplied, perfect as silver in the furnace tried. I know no danger, for I fear no foe. To temperance I a kind indulgence show. That makes more sense, because I do understand that the temperance movement was associated with strong herbal beverages and presumably foods as well, almost like they were trying to make up for the lack of alcohol with very strong flavours. So that makes some sense, but gluttons shall my dire resentment know. I bite the biter and the stout oppose. I took the mighty Marlborough by the nose. Then, ladies, name the object of your fears, what taints the breath and draws unpitied tears. Yeah, got that one wrong, didn't I? Never mind. Right, I have someone new to thank and add to the list. So, thank you Percy Murdick for the follow. I do appreciate it. I'll be streaming again on Friday, which will be more Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Saturday will be the same, Monday will be the same, and then we're back round to Wednesday when I'll be doing more poetry and riddles. So, once again, thank you for coming, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. Good night.